Tell me when.
And we're ready.
Okay, awesome. Welcome everybody to our Heat Team call. It is my absolute pleasure to introduce one of my very, very dear friends and mentors in this business, Kathrine Lee, to the phone tonight. And Kathrine, I just want to, before I read your bio, I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart. Your words are so, just every single one I feel like is a treasure and a gift, and I've just treasured your involvement in my life over the years, and particularly in my
Donna, what's going on?
Experience has been just an absolutely
late for a walk?
Incredible opportunity.
Workout.
Okay, if anybody's in the background and you're talking, you can mute yourself. Okay, there we go. All right, so I'm going to go in. Kathrine Lee is an NMD, for those of you who don't know her, because there are some new people on the phone. She is a 100 Club member with the Juice Plus company and has been part of the company for over 21 years now. Kathrine is also a highly sought after life and business strategist. She is the founder and co-creator of The Ultimate Source, a faith-based personal development system that teaches practical application of essential life skills to live an abundant life that God designed for us to live. She's also an internationally recognized speaker and has touched millions with her message of hope and transformation. She's worked with corporations like Boeing, Disney, DirecTV, academic institutions such as Lubbock Christian University, and served as a business strategist for the Daniel Plan at Saddleback Church, and now serves on the advisory board. You may recognize Kathrine from one of her appearances on The Oprah Winfrey Show or by reading her story in O Magazine. Her latest work involves establishing the Pure Hope Foundation, an organization dedicated to strengthening families and restoring victims of sex trafficking. They provide leadership and family retreats and have opened a second stage home where trafficking survivors come for healing and equipping. The Pure Hope Foundation also provides restoration events where frontline advocates in the fight against trafficking can come to rest, revive, and be equipped to continue to go out and do the work that they do. Kathrine would say that her most important role in life is being wife to her husband, Michael, and mom to her three wonderful children, Corinne, Logan, and Hannah. I have to just say, as a personal friend, Kathrine has been an instrument in my own development. She is just one of the people that I count on to speak love and truth into my heart, and I am so eternally grateful for this community and for the people that come together, especially for you, Kathrine. So thank you so much for coming on tonight and joining us for this call. Can you hear me now? Let's see. Kathrine, are you there?
Did we lose
Harry?
her? Yeah. Did we lose her?
Can you put it on gallery view? You'll be able to see if you do. Ooh. Oh, she's on. We just can't hear her. And she can hear us. Okay, so if you go back to gallery view, Carrie, and then you find her number and unmute her, you should be good.
Is the 949 correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's unmuted.
It's unmuted. Okay, so you can hear us, Kathrine. If you check your phone, I wonder if it's, how weird is that?
I know. Hold on a second, let me check something.
Okay, oh, here's gallery view. Okay. Sorry, guys. Where is she?
Okay, am I unmuted?
Yes, yay!
Yeah.
Yay. I heard it say you are unmuted, so somebody got me unmuted on your end. So I'm like, no, I'm here, I promise. So this is what I know right after 20 plus years in personal development and doing Juice Plus calls. This just means something really good's getting ready to happen, you guys. Anytime you have adversity in your life, lesson number one about having a little faith is anytime there is adversity, that means something good is coming. So I'm honored to be here, truly, Melissa, and I see my precious friend Lisa Blaisdell on the line as well, and of course Nikki is one of my dearest friends. So just, it's such an honor to speak to you guys tonight. And really what I am talking about is having a little faith. And I'm not talking about religious faith or even the thing that guides my life, which is a relationship with God kind of faith. What I'm talking about tonight is the definition of faith that says to have confidence or trust, to have belief that is based, is not based on proof yet, right? And so I'll tell you just a little bit about my story while I weave in some lessons around having a little faith. But if you're a note taker, the 4 areas I'm going to talk about having faith in is the product, the people, the process, and the purpose. Okay, so the product, the people, the process, and the purpose. That's what I really felt like was important to talk about tonight, because when I first got started on Juice Plus, I heard about it from a friend of a friend. I don't know how you each heard about it, but when I started the product, there was no proof like we have now. There was a concept of fruits and vegetables in a capsule form, but we did not have the scientific proof. The cool thing is you really don't have to have much faith about the product, because the proof is there, right? All the science, all of our research, it's there. But when I first started, I had faith in the concept of the product. I mean, come on, you guys, if we can put a man on the moon, right? Why in the world couldn't we find a way to get the best nutrition on the planet into capsules, right? If fruits and vegetables are made up of so much water, you know, if we took the water out of us, right, we'd fit into a Ziploc bag. So that sounds kind of morbid, but the truth is when we come down to it, our molecular structure gets that small in fruits and vegetables. You know, you take out the water and some of the fiber, and I mean, all of a sudden that nutritional value is left. And if we can put a man on the moon, we could certainly put the nutritional essence of fruits and vegetables in a capsule. And I had faith in that concept, right? Jetson food. If any of you from the age where I am, we grew up watching the Jetsons, and we knew one day there'd be space age food. And so I just had faith that this product was what it said it was, and that the nutrition would do what the nutrition in fruits and vegetables does. And so now, again, we don't have to have faith in that because we've got proof of it in our science. And so I feel like that's a pretty easy area to have faith. But the other ones are interesting, right? Because I also had to have faith in the people when it came to the business. I had to have faith in the person that sponsored me, that she could lead and guide me. And at the time she came into the business, she was a sales coordinator. And so she wasn't that far into the business. And many of you may have heard of her because her name is Wendy Campbell. But at the time, and if you don't know her, she's one of the top national marketing directors in the entire global Juice Plus company. But, you know, she was having a little bit of faith in herself, and therefore she knew she could lead me. And she had a ton of faith in the product because she had done a ton of research. So that built even more of my faith in the product. As I began to look at the different people that were a part of this company, I then met, because my sponsor was out of state. She was in St. Louis, and I was in Southern California at the time. And so in Southern California, I met another leader, which was Carol Renoa. And I had faith in her leadership because I had seen she had done something with this business that I wanted to do too. I wanted to have options for my family. So I wanted to have options for my health with the Juice Plus product, and I wanted to have options for my family and our finances. And so I had to have faith in the people, and I began to meet people like Chris and Nikki Cotton. And the more people I met, it was kind of like the product. I didn't need to have faith anymore, which is, you know, that belief that it is not based on proof. And because I had proof of the quality of people that were attracted to this company. It was an astounding thing. And then, of course, I got to know people at corporate, Jay Martin and John Blair and Ron Watkins, you know, all of these incredible people that I continued to meet that at first I had to have faith to join in business with. But then, just like the product was proven, the people were proven. And I got to see, and I have to tell you guys, I work with a ton of companies and ministries, you know, nonprofits. And you know, it's hard to have faith in people sometimes when you look behind the curtain, because we're all human and people can fail us. But I'm telling you, I have looked behind this curtain. I know the people of this business now for 20 years, the leadership in our national marketing director family and the leadership at corporate, and I have never been disappointed. And that's a pretty strong statement to be able to say, we can have faith in the people, but when you have a proven track record, again, the company and the people are proven. The turnover in the leadership of this company is, I think, less than 5%. And the corporate guys and women that have been there decade after decade. So it is a proven thing. We don't have to just have faith. As we get to know the people, you'll see that they're proven, just like the product was. Well, then what about the process and the purpose? This is when it gets down to you as a person. And that's what I just really want to tell you to have a little faith in. Because when you go to conference, and I hope I'm saying that when, as if it's an assumption that you're going, because when I made the investments and I did not have the money to go to conference when I first started, I was 24 years old and we were living paycheck to paycheck. But I, again, believed in the people, and they told me the proven system is to invest in business. And when you invest in business, you get a great return. And so I invested in going to conference, and that's how I got to see that the people and the product were proven even more than I even realized. But for me, it was trusting the process and understanding my purpose in this. See, Wendy Campbell, who was my upline, made it to National Marketing Director in 18 months. And I was, as I was going through the process, I thought, well, then I would too, but I didn't. I ended up making it in 3 years, which for a lot of people, that sounds short, but it was twice as long almost as what my example was. And so there were times where, if you've ever heard having a test of faith, having that testing of your faith is the process. And the process is going through resistance, going through other people that are not proven. They don't know about the product. They don't know the proven nature of the people. And so they're going to test the process. But here's what's so cool. It's kind of like when a bone breaks in your arm and they reset it, where that bone grows back is where it's going to be the strongest. And so I had to trust the process. And I love to say, if we would reframe failure as teacher, right? If you've had any failure, if somebody's ever told you no, I wish I could see you all on Zoom to say, who in this business has somebody told you no to the product, which is proven, whether the person believes it or not, it's proven. It doesn't take any faith. Has anybody said no to the people, meaning the company, or to you? I'm certain all of us would raise our hands. And those of us that are higher in the marketing plan have simply gotten more no's, because the process is learning to trust people that don't understand the product and the people, for them to go through their own process. And no is part of the process, or I don't know, and us getting answers for people. But then there's some people that just say yes. And if you talk to enough people, you're going to get enough yeses to continue to sustain you. And as you trust other people's process, that they will have a little faith in their process too, that just because they say no now, if you will keep saying yes, eventually your yeses will turn their no to a yes. I've seen that over and over, not 100%, because we don't want to convince anybody, right? We want to captivate people by our lifestyle, by the fact that we still know what we know, believe what we believe, and continue to move forward, both in proof and in faith that this process works. And what's amazing is the process absolutely contains no's, but it also contains a lot of yeses, and those yes begin with you. It's saying yes to the product. It's saying yes to the business. It's saying yes to being on this call tonight. It's saying yes to, I'll get out of my comfort zone and go talk to somebody that I wouldn't normally talk to. I'll say yes to something that feels uncomfortable for me now, but it's simply because it's unfamiliar. That's having a little faith. It doesn't mean something's wrong just because it feels uncomfortable. And I can tell you, I love to tell stories on myself and my team, and I've got Deanna's permission to share this story, but talk about trusting the process. When Deanna Christopherson, who's one of my national marketing directors, and again, one of the top national marketing directors in the company, when she first came in, number one, she didn't want to set a goal, but I had set a goal. That was the only process I knew, was to have somebody set a goal and then work backwards from that goal. So if you want to make $500 a month or $1,000 a month, okay, great. Now let's work backwards. How many families do we need to impact and to help get healthy for you to make that goal? And then we set that goal and we set the process, right? And then we go through the process and trust that the numbers do work out if you go through the process. So she finally said, yes, I'll set a goal, because I was so new in the business at that time, did not see myself as a leader. I remember I'm in my 20s at this point, and I just had my own success. So I knew and had faith that the process worked. So I knew I could lead her. And if she wanted to go further than I had been, I knew I could lead her to somebody else's process, to somebody else's story. So at that time, it would have been Nikki Cotton, it would have been Carol Renoa or Wendy, somebody who would, if somebody wanted to go further in the marketing plan than I even had, I could connect them to those people to show that the process worked to that point for these people. And so here I was with Deanna. Well, back then we didn't have CDs, DVDs. Remember, we didn't have the proven system that you have today to step into that we know for sure works. So we were kind of trying things out. And one of the things we were trying out was getting a group of people together and doing what was eventually called Prevention Plus lectures, and then got, part of our whole series of, our healthy lifestyle events that we have now. And I had been the one speaking, and here's Deanna. She's a personal trainer. She's amazing. She had led my own aerobics classes. I mean, I knew she could get up in front of the room. And so I'm like, okay, well, you can speak at the next event. And if you know Deanna now, you'll never believe me, but have a little faith in me. I'm telling you the truth. Deanna was like, no, I am not getting in front of the room. I will not speak. And see, I had faith in her before she had faith in herself. See, she was comfortable being an aerobics instructor, but didn't feel comfortable educating anybody on the power of fruits and vegetables. Again, remember, we didn't have CDs, DVDs, online videos, none of that. We didn't even have the research. And so we were talking about the power of fruits and vegetables and the concept of Juice Plus. Well, she said, no way, I am not speaking. And so, you guys, this is so funny telling on myself. So back then, right, we didn't have cell phones. I'm totally aging myself. But remember, I joined this company 21 years ago. And so I left my house and I literally sat down the street waiting till I knew guests had arrived. I knew that Deanna was too much of a professional to not start the meeting. I knew she was prepared because I had faith in her. And so I sat down there looking at my watch going, okay, right now she's panicked. She's mad at me right now. She called my house. I didn't have the strength yet as a quote unquote leader to empower her yet. So I just tricked her. And so I just didn't show up. And she ended up about half an hour late. I went in and she was at the front of the room rocking it. I mean, she did such a great job. Now she, to this day, will tell you she was scared out of her mind, but it broke something in her. That it was a fear that broke in her because I had faith in her. Now, I have matured as a leader, so nobody has to be afraid to be a part of my team. I won't trick you. I'll just empower you to get up in front of the room with the right process. But back then, it still worked. I had faith in her. She had faith in being a professional. Like, she wasn't just going to trash the whole event. She believed in other people that were there, and said, I need to offer them something. And of course, I believe she's one of the top trainers, and the company, gives her platform all the time to affirm that she's one of the best speakers that we've got now. And so sometimes we'll have faith in somebody else before we'll have faith in ourselves. So if your sponsor is saying to you, trust the process, this is the next step, this is the investment you want to make of your time, your talents, etc., take that. So, think tonight, what is something in the process, in our mission-driven model, that maybe I haven't embraced because I haven't had enough faith in myself, I haven't had faith in the people or in the system, and maybe it's time, if I want to get the fourth P, which is purpose. See, that is really what this business is all about. Jay Martin's original mission statement was, and it's his vision statement, which is to build a stable and lasting company to help as many people as possible realize their dreams. Now, he has done that. He had a little faith that he could build a stable and lasting company. And he has helped many, many, many people, countless people, realize their dreams. And that is purpose. And now, of course, we do that by our mission statement of inspiring healthy living around the world. And that is how we have a stable and lasting company, and people can live out their dreams because they're healthy enough to enjoy their life. And and for people that choose the business, they have financial options in order to enjoy their lives. So what is your purpose? And you may have heard this before, but I think it bears repeating until we have a guiding light that does drive us in faith towards it. And that is if time and money were not an obstacle, what would you do? If time and money were not an issue, you had all the time in the world and all the money in the world, what would you do? Think about that for a second. And I'm going to add a third. If time and money or you were not an issue. And what I mean by that is I've done this exercise with people and I've said, okay, you have all the time in the world. Doesn't matter how old or young you are. If you have another job, a career, doesn't matter. What would you do? And then I say you have all the money in the world. You have time and you have money. Because, you know, sometimes you can have time but no money, and so you can't have as much influence. Or you can have lots of money but no time. You can't have as much influence. But often people would say, but they don't have faith in themselves. And what I'm telling you is I believe with everything in me that we were all designed from the beginning of time with a purpose in mind. Every single one of us were designed from the beginning of time with a purpose in mind. And so a hint to that discovery of what that is if you had all the time and all the money in the world and you had all the resources, right? You didn't have to have every gift and talent because you would have a team of people that would. What would you do? What person, cause, or people group would you pour into? Who would you help? How would you live? I mean, it's such an incredible thing, you guys, that I get to be a national marketing director with the Juice Plus company, and I get to help restore victims of trafficking. I'm probably the worst issue on our planet today. It involves every horrific thing you can imagine, but somehow this opportunity has afforded me the purpose to be able to have that time, to be able to invest in that way into that population. Now, I never would have known that 21 years ago. My mission 21 years ago was my first ministry and will always be my first ministry, which was my family. How could I be home and have options, right? To be home. I had faith that if I just day after day did what the people in this business told me to do through that process, I would be able to fulfill that purpose. And not only did I fulfill that purpose, but now I can fulfill even greater purposes. And so I just want to encourage you, you know, if I did nothing else but 21 years ago, join this company and be a part of it for 21 years so that I could tell you with all integrity that this product is what it says it is. The people are who they say they are. The process is proven, and the purpose, your purpose, can unfold because you have the financial resources, the time resources, and the people resources that this company brings, because they connect you to people to do anything that you are meant to do. And I can't tell you to this day, this is why I say yes. This is why when Melissa said, will you be on this call? I love her. I love Lisa. I love Nikki. So of course I would say yes to the people. But honestly, I say yes for all of you that don't know what they know yet. So that if my story can impact your story so that you can live your purpose, that's why I say yes. So I hope that you will consider who's waiting for you to have a little faith, because you may be amazed at what the purpose of you aligning with this company is if you'll just take a step, join in with the people, and enjoy the process. And you'll be able to live out any purpose that I believed you were designed for, because you'll have the resources to do it. So Melissa, thank you for having me on the call. It's such a privilege. Anytime I get you guys, I know you had a million things you could have done with this time. Time is our one great equalizer. We all have the same number of seconds in a day, the same number of minutes. And my prayer is always that you will say, okay, I didn't spend my time. That when I'm done talking, you'll say I invested my time, and may you get a great return that will then pour into other people. Thanks so much, Melissa.
Oh my gosh, Kathrine, I took like 18 pages of notes just now. And because you always get me thinking, you know, you have this great, amazing ability to connect the head and the heart, I think, for people. And, you know, it's something that I feel like we all need to take a step in that direction, because when we truly step into this role and this mission and this business, as I've seen it played out through leaders like yourself, it really is, it's about service. It's about service to others, you know, and then it becomes so little about us and so much about how we can impact the people around us and how we can provide value, you know, to people and help them move through.
Yeah, that's right.
Gosh, I wanted to just ask one question because you touched on this as you were going through, but what I have noticed through your stories, and obviously I've gotten to know you really well over the last 9 years, and is that I almost feel we always talk about the why, and that why is the thing that drives us forward, right? And what I've noticed with you and with other people, because this is one thing that was very important to me when I first was evaluating the company and looking at the leadership, is that nobody quit. I mean, it would be really easy to stop, at a certain point when the money's all there and you don't need to bring in more income because it's residual on some level and all that. But there's still this thing that drives people to stay involved and stay connected. And I am now starting to interpret that as the evolution of the why,
Yes.
And if you have just a quick minute to maybe touch on that, I know that it's changed and evolved for you, but as you've seen it through other people, because so many of us are looking to identify what that why is for ourselves to get us motivated to take that step. What are the things that we should be looking for or really listening to articulate?
Yeah, that's so good. So good. Yeah, here's the thing, guys. I've worked for 21 years in the Juice Plus company and almost exactly the same numbers with literally, thousands of people in the corporate realm of personal development, also the millions, if you count the Oprah audiences. And one of the things that I learned was that people are motivated out of pleasure and pain. People are motivated to change or to grow out of either pleasure or pain, meaning the promise of the pleasure they're going to receive will drive them enough to make a change, or the pain that they either perceive could come or the pain that they're experiencing. Those are the two things that get people to move off the mark. And I love to say to people, please, let me save you the pain of a pain motivator, right? Let those pleasure motivators drive you. Like what is it that is most important to you in your life? And that's why I asked that question, if time or money were no issue, what would you do? Because that will get some things going for you of what it may be. So for me, when I first started, I wanted to make $300 to $500 a month. That was as big as I could dream, but it made me wealthy because that gave me the option to be home with my kids. Once I took, because I worked X number of hours just to pay childcare in order to bring home $300 to $500 a month, so that we could, bridge the gap in our bills. Well, I made that and then it doubled. And I thought, well, wait a second. What else is it that I want out of life? If you're making $1,000 a month residually, where you certainly work in this business because you start off working harder, making less money than the hours you're putting in. That's just entrepreneurship. And then all of a sudden you are making the amount of money that matches the effort that you're putting in. And then it switches on you where you're like, oh my goodness, I've got this. I've mastered things. It's not as hard. The learning curve is done. And now for the number of hours that I'm working, or every time I work, I don't feel like I'm working right now. I feel like I'm talking to a group of friends. And that's why I love the interaction piece of this. But still, even so, the number of hours you put in versus the pay you get is just incredible because you've made investment. And you've made investment into people. So as far as your why goes, I want you to think about, what are those things as you look forward in your life that cause you pain because you have to say no to right now, or if you think about the future. Right now I am watching a few people in my life that did not have retirement plans or had retirement plans that somehow for variety of reasons have been taken away, and they are facing being 65 plus with no option. And the financial piece, if they had $1,000 a month, it would change everything if they had that check coming in. I have other people that have plenty of money, but they don't have time. They can't go see their grandkids. At that same age, they've got tons of money, but they're tied into a career that they can't get out of because if they don't work, they get no return. At the opposite end, it was me at the beginning, just wanting to make a difference. And of course, all the way on to, once you get to a certain place in your life, it's so funny. I went from a 4,000 square foot home in Southern California on an acre of land with a gorgeous view to right now I live in a 500 square foot tiny house. Now I have all the resources to have those choices, but I've simplified because I want to make a greater impact on those that have no options. Right. And so I shared those stories with you to say, where does your heart intersect and where does your mind intersect? Like, I'm a businesswoman. Like, I think about multiple streams of income. I don't think about, just none of us, whether it's real estate, whether it's, writing a book that brings in residual income, whether it's investments, I mean, all of us want to diversify because you start to think about options in lots of different ways. So some of you may not need any money. In fact, you may even have time freedom, but man, this community of people would be a blessing to you. So as each person thinks about, you know, what is it for you that drives you? What would bring you great pleasure to be able to say yes to? And what would bring you great pain, or what already does great pain because you have to say no? And when you put those things in front of you, man, you don't mind those no's so much, because the driver of that pain or that pleasure motivator is going to drive you way more than somebody just telling you no. It'll be the thing that gets you up in the morning, and it'll be the thing that gets you to go to bed at night and be willing to invest just a little bit more to get the greater return.
Thank you so much for that, Kathrine. Really, I think that's probably the most important thing that we need to do, is just hone in that space and let that drive us. So
and I'll just say one last thing. If you guys have not invested or not going to go to conference, I mean, I know it's around the corner. You know, we all have different, I've been in situations where at the last minute, in fact, the last minute on one conference, I wasn't making the investment to go, and airfare war happened, and I ended up finding a flight, and I went. And because I had a little faith to make one more investment, right, I met a woman who had brought me one of my most successful lines, if you've ever heard of Don Rathman. And it was because I changed my mind to go at the last minute to a conference. Wow. And I just want to encourage you that you just don't know, you know, what you're going to learn, what switch is going to flip to take you to the next level. And that goes for me too. That goes for Nikki and Chris. It doesn't matter if you're a 100 Club member, you know, or you're a brand new distributor. There can be a flip that gets switched, you know, I mean, a switch that gets flipped when you get there that will make all the difference in the world. And it's not just for you. That's the one thing I've really learned about our product, about our company, and about the purpose that we can bring is it's bigger than that. The global impact that we have, and it's hard to think that way if you haven't experienced it yet. But again, have a little faith that if you will press in again, or if you'll press in for the first time, the return can be something you may not ever even be able to imagine. But the more you can imagine it in your mind's eye, the more you can dream and have a little faith in those desires of our heart that need to let us at times, or we've tucked away, or we haven't dared to dream. When we do that, we're opening up the possibility that will actually open up the pathway that will take us right to our purpose. And I have lived that. And so that's why I want to encourage each of you to make the investment, you know, in listening to the guidance of someone that's gone before you, not just me, but anybody in your team of leaders, but also to get to conference, because you may hear one person's story that you would have never heard, whether it's sitting on a bus, you know, going between the different event centers, or if it's from the stage. One story can change your whole perspective, and then change not just your life, but a lot of lives around you too. Oh
my gosh, absolutely, absolutely. Kathrine, thank you so very much. I know we've gone a little bit over, you guys, but we started a little late. Minute is worth it, I know. Can you guys all take yourself off of mute and